Okay. And what is she molding?
This is that rear sight base for the buckhorn.
Oh. And so this is
the buckhorn. This will go over to the shop and gets a hole drilled here,
right.
Machine, then the buckhorn sits down inside of it.
So this is what's called a lost wax mold?
Yep.
And that's a rear sight?
Hold it open.
So
see, that's what comes out.
okay. So now Lucinda told me that you guys
Remember, hold it. Don't take a chance of this square thing coming down here and messing stuff up. Yeah. Very gentle. Now push it.
Lucinda said that you cast all your own parts here. You foundry all your own steel, all your own parts.
Yep.
And that goes all the way down to sight bases, screws. You guys make everything, right?
Not the screws. Down on an actual machine. Yeah, here's some parts.
Let me switch over here so I can see this.
I mean, you can make anything. This is a high wall that we do.
You guys make high wall rifles as well?
We make the casting parts, and then people build them from there. Buffalo Arms sells blueprints and everything that match up with these.
Right.
So your home machinist. And we've did outside work. This here's like for a corn grinder to make flour.
Wow. So you're not just strictly making gun parts here.
No, and that's when you see a train go by and it's got that box hanging on the back. There's how it's held on.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
You can do whatever your little heart desires. We've made muzzle brakes for people.
For modern guns.
For modern, yep.
Yeah. Wow. So it keeps the foundry busy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after this is done and they have their parts, and they'll take and come back here.
Right.
They take and they melt them on a wax tree.
Okay. And those are sight bases right there.
These are sight bases. And then what they do is they'll start dipping them in this slurry, building the coatings up like this. This is a tree full of triggers.
Okay. That's amazing.
These here are your 74 levers, extractors.
Wow.
And once they get about 6 coats of this up,
so this is a drying rack for that slurry.
yep, they dip them in here.
Okay.
I don't know if she's got the air. Yeah. They dip them in there, get them wet, and then they put them in this sand bed. See how it puffs up?
Oh wow.
That way,
They kind of aerates that sand.
right,
So it
you
can,
don't break your tree up.
yeah, it can cover the entire.
The first coating of sand, so that you get your real nice finish on the parts, is done in a rain sander. So they'll take that tree and coat it with sand this way. And that's what makes a real nice finish on the outside. Then the rest of these are just to build up strength and tree thickness.
Wow.
Then we go over to this room. And we put them upside down in this rack. This is a high pressure boiler. We heat the building on low pressure. And they'll crank that up to 100 pounds, which is around 380, 390 degrees. That big door will unlock and everything and open up. It's just a bath that we roll them in. Then we close it and there's steam injects in there so quick that the wax comes out before it has time to expand and break the shell.
Right.
And then the wax is reclaimed down here. Melter to remelt it.
You can use that wax again and again and again,
You can.
basically.
And then they go in these big steel cylinders and that's what goes in that machine out there that she's
Huh.
squirting the wax with.
That's pretty amazing.
This is brought up to around 2,500 degrees, and that does the burnout.
Okay, Randy, can you show me the inside of one of those now that the wax is cold?
And the rest of that wax will burn out in the oven when we fire the shells.
Sure.
So once the autoclave takes the wax out, there's still a little residual wax, and these trees have to come up to temperature, so when you pour your steel in there, stuff doesn't break. So we'll load this oven, bring these trees up to a temperature. At the same time, our steel comes in as virgin 4140 chromoly. This induction unit over here is what drives that pot, and that pot's water cooled.
So this is where the steel pouring takes place.
Yes, and it's actually done by magnetism. Because when steel gets to a certain temperature, it's no longer magnetic, so this pot lies to it. And we have an infrared camera up there that targets a little 1/4-inch spot in the pot. That's how we monitor our temperature. Now this will melt 30 pounds of steel every 4.5 minutes. So it's just like casting bullets. You try to pour as cool as you can. It'll go from 0 to 3,000 degrees. So when that comes up to the temperature we want, then we'll take that tree out of the oven, set it in these boxes, guy on each end, pour it full of metal.
So the trees will be in here
Yep.
when they're pouring.
They'll set in there just like this.
So that tree right there is a pair of rifle actions.
Yep, those are 77 receivers. The bottom broke out of the tree, so we just use it as a display.
Okay. That's fascinating. So when you pour in here, how long does it take these molds to cool down?
It'll solidify right away, but they'll stay cherry red hot for, gosh, probably half an hour, 45 minutes. We have a lot of these boxes, so when the last box gets poured, well, then we'll start taking trees out of the first box and start a chain reaction.
Okay. That's incredible.
And then when they come out, they'll be just like this. Some of the ceramic will be broke off as the metal's cooling and everything. And we'll smack them with a hammer and break the rest of the ceramic off. You'll end up with a tree with whatever parts you have on it. And now these parts will get cut off in this cutoff saw. They get soaked in a solution back here, a hot tank, that'll get the remainder of the ceramic out of the little cracks and stuff like that, and then they'll go in the sandblaster and get blasted. They'll either go to the customer, or in our case, go next door and start the machining process.
So that is a rifle action, just fresh out of the being cast.
And we started this casting company because before we had outside casting houses doing our work for us. And if you had a flaw or anything in the part, they would just send it and you'd have to pay for it, take it or leave it. This way, when something like this shows up, we can scrap it here and it never gets into the food chain.
So that right there, this receiver has a defect and it
Yeah,
won't
it's-
actually be used.
No, that's why it's laying over here. Every pour, we take a steel sample and that goes over to Anaconda, and they have a spectrometer where they can tear that steel apart and tell exactly all the recipe that's put in it. Because when we order our steel, it comes with certification sheets, and then if we get off in here, we'll know it and we can throw that whole pour away so it don't get the system.
Wow. You have to have a certain number of minerals and other things in the steel, right?
Yeah, because at this elevation, we're burning off a lot of carbon, silicon, so you have to add that back in during your melt to keep them numbers where they're supposed to be. Carbine barrel bands.
Which parts are these?
Side chairs.
And you're trimming them off of the casting?
Yep.
The screws?
Yeah.
The screws?
Knocking the screw off so I can take it over and mill it more accurate on the bridge port.
Really nice. What's your name?
Lance Dempsey.
How long have you worked here?
Since 1989.
Wow. That's when I started in drywall. Holy cow. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.